Hello everyone, welcome to my class. Today we will talk about past perfect tense presented by Dr. Hakim. Well, introduction. This is timeline as usual. Past time, present time, and future time. Today we will talk about these two actions. Well, we use past perfect tense to describe an action or event that happened before another action. An action before another action. It shows the order of event in the past and tells us that one action happened before another. Today we will talk about this one, not this one, okay? Because it happened first. The first action always comes in past perfect tense. The helping verb is had. The first action, the second action. The first action always comes in past perfect. Okay, do you understand? Let's see some examples. And before seeing examples, here are some keywords and time expressions. Keywords: already, yet, never, the same with present perfect. And time expressions is past perfect first, then when I arrived, when plus subject plus verb to. Before plus noun, before something, or before plus subject plus verb to. Before verb ing, or by the time 5 o'clock, by last Monday, by Friday, by last week. Like, it's up to you how to make the time expressions. Well, in positive sentence, subject plus had plus verb 3 plus object plus by, the time, when, or before time expressions. Let's see examples. I had already finished my dinner when the movie started. Before the movie starting, I had already finished. This action happened first. I think you had met my friends before. He had fixed his car before going to work. She had read the entire novel in just one evening. It had stopped raining before we left for our walk. We had cleaned the house before the guests arrived. They had practiced some tests by the exam day. My manager had called me 5 times by 6 a.m. today. Students had taken 2 exams before they graduated the university. Well, in negative sentence, the structure is like this: subject plus had plus not, plus verb 3 plus object plus time expressions. For example, I had not finished my homework when the teacher took it. I think you hadn't visited the Eiffel Tower before we met. He had not fixed the computer yet before finishing his work. She hadn't read the chapters before the book discussion. Hadn't is a short form of had not. It had not stopped raining yet when we decided to cancel our plan. We hadn't finished our meals before the party was over. They had not practiced their musical instruments by the concert day. My sister had never attended running competition before. I hadn't tasted coffee by the time I was 15. In question form, as usual, we put the helping verb first before subject. Had plus subject plus verb 3 plus object plus before. For example, had I finished my assignment before the deadline? Had you ever traveled to Europe before we met? Had he fixed his computer before it crashed again? Had she prepared much before she took the exam? Had it stopped raining when we started our picnic? Had we visited that museum before it closed for renovations? Had they completed the project on time? Had your friend worked anywhere before applying here? Had you ever imagined this home before moving here? And how do we use past perfect with WH questions? Let's see some examples. What had I done to upset her so much? When had you met your old college roommate before? How had he managed to solve such a complex problem? Why had she never visited that beautiful city before? Where had it been before we looked for it? Who had we invited to the surprise party? How had they already finished their project when the deadline finished? Which book had you read before this one? Who had you met before the meeting? More examples. As I said before, there are two actions, two events that happened. And always the first action comes in past perfect. The second action comes in past simple. For example, I ate the meal. Then you came home. I cleaned my room. Then my mother called me. She went to bed. Then her father went out. I met my friend. Then you sent me a message. We played a game. Then we watched a movie. If we want to connect both actions, we use before and when. See the results. Past perfect. I had already eaten my meal before you came home. I had cleaned my room before my mother called me. She had already gone to bed when her father went out. I hadn't met my friend yet before you sent me a message. We had played a game before we watched a movie. I hope it's understandable. Then exercise time. Fill in the blank with the right form of the verb in past perfect. Okay, here the verb, and you have to change it into the past perfect form. For example, she studied for 2 hours before the final exam. She had studied for 2 hours before the final exam. And the other sentence, you will do them alone. And you can check the answers in the last lesson. Thank you a lot. See you next time.